In this video, I'm going to show you one way to handle checkboxes in Sharepoint list using Power Automate. So on the left-hand side, I've set up a form with checkboxes. So if I preview that, I'm able to select more than one. And on the right-hand side, I've got my Sharepoint list, which I've called continents. And if I scroll down, I have got a column for all the options. So we can see there Africa, Antarctica, etc. So what we need to do now is in Power Automate, I've selected my new flow, my automated flow, and I've got my form trigger set up there. So to populate those Sharepoint lists now, I need to capture each checkbox that comes in. So for those of you that have tried this before, you might know that when somebody selects a checkbox item, it will be submitted as comma separated items in brackets. So it can be a little bit difficult to work with. So I'll show you how we can fix that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start initializing some variables. So for our example, I will only do two, but essentially you'll need to repeat for each item. So we'll go to new step and initialize variable. So we'll give our variable a name, and my first item on the list is Africa, so I'll call this Africa. And for the type, I'm going for string. And what we'll do now is when we add a new step, this time we are looking for a condition. So it's under control and then condition. And this is essentially an if statement. So we're looking for choose a value, and that will be which of the following continents have we visited. That is the question with all those multiple answers. So we'll click that. And now where it's got is equal to, I need to change it to contains. And our keyword in this one is the word Africa. If you have a long text answer, you may want to use a unique word that only exists in that option. Otherwise, you may have to copy the entire option. So if it contains Africa, then we have two items here. So a yes and a no. So if it equals yes, we are going to go to set variable. And our variable name, we use the drop down and we select Africa. And we want the value to be yes. You can set this to whatever you'd like, but in my example, my question is essentially, have you visited Africa, yes or no? And then over on the no side, we'll go to add an action and the exact same thing. So set variable and Africa. And this time we're going to type in no. So that's done for the Africa option. So we'll repeat again for the next one, which is Antarctica. And we'll do the same condition as well. Contains, and this time we need to put in Antarctica. So as you've probably seen, we'll just repeat for each one. It's good practice to rename some of your steps. So we can see it just says initialize variable here. So we might use the three dots and go to rename. And this time we might say initialize Africa variable, for example. And for this one, we could go to condition and say check for Africa, and so on, just so that it's a bit easier to troubleshoot later. So we'll pretend that I've done that for all of them. And now the remaining step is to go to new step. And this time we're going to create that Sharepoint item. And now when populating, we can click into the Africa row here. And this time we will select the variable. So this time we'll choose Africa. And then here we'll select Antarctica. And then we can repeat for all of them except for others, which will come up later. So we'll save and test that. Now looking at the run history, if I go to get response details, this is where we can see the format that those checkboxes come in. So they're in square brackets and each item is in double quotation marks and there's a comma between each. So when I scroll down and we check for Africa, we can see where the green ticks are that yes, Africa did exist in that list. So we can click on to set variable and we can see that it's been set to yes. And when we go down to create item, we can see that there's been yes put into the Antarctica fields there. And if I go into my list, I can show that. So we can see yes there. Things become a lot more complicated when you have other. So that is the person can select other and type in their own text, but I will cover that in another video.